Hey, what's up everyone? In this video, I'm going to share with you and answer the question, should you do a full due diligence before contacting a claimant? Or should you just go ahead and contact the claimant first, then go back and do additional research afterwards? So this is what I call the double-edged sword of overages, okay? There are pros and cons to both. And your procedure will be determined by, one, the type of case you're working, whether it's a tax or mortgage overages, and two, the state that you're working in, okay? So let's talk about that. And let's first define research, right? So number one, there's different parts of research. Number one is debt research, determining what liens, mortgages existed on a property at the time of the foreclosure or tax sale. That type of research, I would go ahead and just do that all the time. Make it a habit to confirm what debt, liens existed at the time of the sale and who owned the property. That type of research should be conducted at all times, regardless of whether it's a mortgage, tax overage, and whatever state you're in, okay? Now, there's a second part of research that is optional, and that is determining if a claim has already been made, okay? Now, so let's focus on that piece real quick. Determining if a claim has already been made. If the money is held in the court system, you can easily do this by gathering the court records, looking at the docket, and seeing if a claim has been made. If a claim hasn't been made, cool, money is there. If a claim has been made, depending on who made the claim, it may or may not be a good deal, okay? Now, if you're working a mortgage overage in a non-judicial state, so there's two types of foreclosure processes. There's judicial, non-judicial. Judicial means there's a court record associated with the foreclosure. Non-judicial means there's no court record. Everything is handled via a law firm that represents the bank. Therefore, all of their records are private. So in those scenarios, in those states, examples of non-judicial states would be Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, and there's a host of others. Those are the big ones. California is another one. In these states, there's no way for you to know if a claim has been filed unless you contact the trustee, and the trustee is not going to release that information to you unless you are actually working with the client or you have an attorney, okay? So in those states, in non-judicial states, mortgage overages, we'll do our debt research, but we're not going to spend any time seeing if a claim has been made, because we're not going to be able to get the information until we actually have the claimant, the property owner, as a client. Does that make sense? So in those situations, those scenarios, you're not going to spend any time confirming if a claim has been made or not, because you can't determine that. There's no public record. You have to contact the homeowner first, okay? I hope that makes sense. Now, again, this is why this business is difficult, and this is why I strongly encourage folks, if you're just getting started, do not work multiple states at the same time. Don't do it. Why? Because there's so many differences and nuances that it's hard enough just to get one state down. But once you've mastered one state and you've done many deals in that state, then start branching out, okay? All right, so we've talked about that, the research, okay? Now, there are some instances where maybe you want to forego your research altogether and not check ownership, not check debt. I would not recommend that, but there's some pros to that, right? You know, maybe you get a hold of somebody and you sign them up and you get lucky and you signed up the right person and you beat out the competition through speed, okay? Speed is a way to overcome competition. However, the downside of speed is inaccuracy. You might find yourself contacting the wrong person because if you didn't do your due diligence in the front side, if you didn't confirm who the owner was, you might contact the wrong person. This happened to me recently where somebody called me. They said, I've got an overage. I found the person, they're interested. And I said, great. The person wasn't a student of mine, so I was like, what's the address of the property? They gave it to me, hung up the phone. I got on the court, or no, the county recorder's office just to see who owned the property. And within 10 minutes, I confirmed that this person had contacted the wrong person. And that's a big reason why I don't partner with people that aren't students of mine anymore, because they don't know what they're doing and they make these mistakes that I teach not to make in the program. So I called them back and I said, hey, you got the wrong person. This is the right person you need to look for. Go find this person, then let me know. Oh, and join the program, which she said she would. So super excited, super nice lady. Very excited to work with her. I'm not talking down on her at all. You will make mistakes in the business. All I'm saying is you can mitigate those mistakes through education, okay? Or you can go through this school of hard knocks, which is fine too. So here's the thing, guys. I hope that answers the question we talked about. Okay, should you spend time confirming if a claim has been made before you reach out to a client? That's going to be determined by the state you're working and the type of case you're working, okay? In some states, you're not even going to be able to determine if a claim's been made until you make contact with the client and until you have a signed agreement with them. That's just the bottom line, okay? If you don't want to do that, work tax overages, okay? Now, tax overages, you're still going to have to call the county probably and ask if a claim has been made if the money's not held by the courts. And that to me seems like a waste of time, because why would you call the county to confirm if a claim has been made when you could spend that same time calling the claimant and signing them up and asking them if they filed a claim or if they signed with anybody else? That's another thing that you should do, guys. When you call people, ask them if they signed paperwork with anyone. Ask them if they filed a claim. If they have, okay, have a nice day, ma'am or sir. If you have any questions, give me a call back. Don't get caught up in, trying to compete. If somebody has a signed agreement, you don't want to try and convince that person to sign up with you. It's a sleazy thing to do. And two, you could actually get in trouble if you know somebody has an agreement and you try to get them out of that agreement so that they can work with you. There's something called tortious interference of contract, okay? Where you can be sued for trying to get someone out of a contract. So be aware of that as well. So yeah, guys, the bottom line is know the state you're working, know the laws, know where the money is being held, okay? And if you know those things, that will help you determine whether or not you should spend time confirming if claims have been made or just moving forward and contacting the claimant as quickly as possible, okay? Let me end with one other thing here. A different question. When should you contact people? Should you contact them as quickly as possible after the sale? Or should you wait until the foreclosure deed or the tax deed has been recorded? There are pros and cons to each. If you contact someone as quickly as possible after the sale, the pros are, again, speed. You can get ahead of the competition. The cons of that is, you may not, whatever data you were using to get the sale price may not be accurate, okay? The deed is going to have the sale price, and that's going to be the real number, right? And in some states, the deed will actually have the amount of the unpaid debt. Now, I haven't seen this very often. I've seen this in like Arizona. I wish every state was like this, but some foreclosure deeds have the purchase price at the foreclosure sale and the unpaid debt, which is super helpful, right? Because using those numbers, you can confirm if there was an overage or not. With mortgage overages, the opening bid is not always the debt that's owed to the bank. Okay, tax sale overages, 99% of the time, the opening bid is the debt owed to the county. Very easy to determine if there's an overage for tax overages. Mortgage overages, not so much. Okay, so the benefit of waiting till the deed is recorded is being able to confirm overage amounts. But if you wait till the deed is recorded, you may have lost that case to a competitor who signed that person up before the deed was recorded. Okay. All right. So this is way longer than I thought it was going to be, but I hope these tips were helpful for you. Hope that answers your question. If you have further questions, post them down below, and stay tuned, guys. There's going to be some changes coming to my program. Okay. I'll just say that I may not be offering it on a consistent basis in the future. And also, just as kind of a hint, if you're considering getting it, you might want to wait maybe a week or two. There's Black Friday coming up. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're on my email list. Join at overagesyndicate.com. All right, guys. Appreciate you.